After 70 years, the mystery surrounding James Dean was finally solved. It's worse than we anticipated. James Dean was born on February 8, 1931, in Marion, Indiana, a small industrial city in the United States. Mildred Wilson and Winton Dean were his parents. Winton was a farmer when he was younger. In order to support his family's future and finances, he decided to change occupations and become a dental technician. Many American families in the early 1900s aspired to advance in life by obtaining education and developing specialized skills. These objectives were reflected in this action. When James' family relocated from rural Indiana to California, his life took a significant turn. In contrast to his Midwestern origins, he was exposed to fresh cultural influences and opportunities. When James Dean arrived in California, he briefly attended Brentwood Public School. In terms of academic achievement, this early learning phase was significant but unimpressive. He then transferred to McKinley Elementary School, where his academic performance was mediocre to subpar. It was unclear if he excelled in common subjects or not. However, this did not adequately convey the complexity of his personality. His emotional and artistic depths were not always quantified by grades. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. And hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Now, back to the topic. What we were talking about was James and his mother, Mildred, had a close and profound bond. He frequently believed that she was the only one who truly understood him and could see past his actions to his true intensity and sensitivity. This friendship was severely damaged when Mildred was diagnosed with cancer. James will always be deeply saddened by the fact that she passed away from the sickness when he was just 9 years old. He was eternally altered by the devastating emotional trauma of losing his mother at such a young age. He became vulnerable as a result, and he became driven to use art and expression to find meaning. James Dean began making acquaintances and learning about different cultures while attending Fairmont High School as a teenager. He participated in sports like basketball and baseball and was well liked by his pals. His involvement in athletics demonstrated his enjoyment of competition and social interaction, but he also had a wide range of interests. James also practiced public speaking and took acting lessons, demonstrating his early passion of storytelling and performance. A significant milestone in his life, his graduation from Fairmont High School in 1949 marked the end of his adolescence and the beginning of a more determined pursuit of his objectives. James attended Santa Monica College after high school and initially decided to specialize in pre-law. This decision might have been motivated by family members' aspirations for a secure career or by cultural expectations. However, he discovered while attending SMC that he wasn't truly interested in being a lawyer. He was drawn to acting because it would allow him to gain a deeper understanding of people's emotions and identities. After that, he transferred to the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, and switched to theater as his major. This courageous decision caused friction with his father, who disapproved of the theater industry's seeming instability and uncertainty. James's willingness to sacrifice himself for his job was demonstrated during the period of separation that followed the fight, which caused a split between the father and son. While at UCLA, James Dean's skill became more apparent. Malcolm was chosen from among 350 applicants for the role of Malcolm in a production of Macbeth by Shakespeare. This selection demonstrated his talent and the extent of his performance development. Despite some early success, James did not complete his degree. He left school in 1951 to concentrate on his studies to become a talented actor. James Dean began his career in show business in a modest manner. His first TV job was an advertisement for Pepsi-Cola. He was introduced to the medium in a brief but significant step. He soon landed a small role in the comedy Sailors Beware, which also featured Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. The early years were difficult due to financial difficulties and uncertainty about the future. To earn money, Dean frequently took part-time jobs unrelated to performing. For many performers hoping to make their Hollywood debut, this is a common tale. In order to hone his abilities, James relocated to New York City, which is an excellent location for receiving actual theater training. After that, he proceeded to the well-known Actors Workshop to study under Lee Strasberg, a well-known acting coach who popularized the method acting style in the United States. This rigorous training, which emphasized psychological realism and emotional sincerity, greatly influenced Dean's subsequent actions. While he was in school, he worked on the game show Beat the Clock as a trick tester. He was able to continue working in the entertainment industry and earn money as a result. James Dean gradually gained more experience and recognition in the early 1950s by accumulating tiny roles in several TV series. He appeared on variety shows such as The Bigelow Theater and Family Theater in 1951. In 1952, he was inducted into the Hallmark Hall of Fame and featured on the CBS television workshop. These were minor parts, but they demonstrated his growing versatility and commitment. During this period, he also achieved great success as an actor. He starred in the lead part of Fran Koka's The Metamorphosis, an off-Broadway production of the intellectually taxing play about a man who transforms into a terrible insect-like creature for no apparent cause, in 1952. For the role, Dean had to delve into complex concepts of identity and loneliness, which aligned with his playing style and interests. In 1954, he starred in the dangerous Broadway play The Immoralist, which told the story of a married man who is struggling to deal with his inclinations and desires to be gay. The play generated a lot of discussion at the time and demonstrated Dean's readiness to tackle difficult subjects. In the same year, he also appeared in the off-Broadway production of The Doll. It was a gloomy tale of a lady who, in retaliation for a man who abandoned her during her pregnancy, employs witchcraft to make a doll come to life. Dean's desire to portray incredibly relatable and frequently tormented people was evident in his theater roles. James Dean debuted on the big screen in 1955 as Cal Trask, a young man who battles feelings of inadequacy and a strained relationship with his father, who favors Aaron, Cal's more secure and prosperous brother. Dean became a rising star with real acting skills after receiving a lot of attention for his impressive performance in his first major film role. In Rebel Without a Cause, Dean gave what would turn out to be his most well-known performance the same year. In his portrayal of Jim Stark, a disturbed teenager who battles feelings of loneliness and familial issues, Dean encapsulated the essence of 1950s youth culture. Because they could identify with Jim's sensitivity and defiance, teenagers found the film to be incredibly relatable. Because of this, Dean became a cultural icon and a representation of adolescent angst. American pop culture and film will never forget him. James Dean's sexual orientation has long piqued the interest and conversation of fans and Hollywood folks. This is a result of the complexity and mystique of his existence. During America's relatively conservative 1950s, open discussions regarding sexuality were discouraged. As a result, Dean's personal life gained popularity as a subject of discussion. The actor's personal narrative was further enhanced by a startling secret revealed by William Bast, one of Dean's closest friends and confidants, many years after his tragic death. According to Bast, their friendship had occasionally evolved into a sexual relationship. In addition to defying the Hollywood favorite narrative of a heterosexual person being gay, this candid admission demonstrated how Dean's desires and emotions evolved over time. With Bast's announcement, Dean appeared to be more than just a celebrity. It depicted him as a young man navigating complex emotions in a socially constricting environment. James Dean's love life was complicated and didn't cleanly fall into any one category, as seen by the fact that he was known to have dated other women in addition to this aspect of his personal life. He was associated with a number of women, including the brilliant and attractive actress Beverly Wills, the actress Barbara Glenn, and Liz Sheridan, who rose to fame as a result of her role on the television series Seinfeld. These connections, which might not have received as much notice at the time, demonstrate how deeply entrenched Dean was in Hollywood's social and romantic scene. Women were drawn to him because of his depth and charisma. The most well-known and discussed of Dean's relationships was likely his intense romance with Piera Angeli, a stunning Italian actress who was acclaimed for both her beauty and talent. Because they got along so well and because it appeared to reflect the sad star-crossed romance that characterized Dean's life, their relationship piqued the interest of the public and media. Piera Angeli's global appeal and success added a new dimension to Dean's life and linked his narrative to European cinema and culture. The encounter created a great deal of emotional upheaval and was widely reported. It strengthened Dean's reputation as a restless, fervent young man who felt torn between his personal desires and the expectations of celebrity. James Dean has been one of Hollywood's most enduring and enigmatic celebrities for over 70 years. Just the mention of his name conjures up the rage, rebellion, and melancholy promise of a star who shone too brilliantly and died too soon. Though decades have gone by since his tragic death in 1955, many questions and rumors about what transpired in the car accident that claimed his life continue to circulate. For years, investigators, fans, and biographers have been attempting to determine the true cause of Dean's Porsche 550 Spyder collision with another vehicle on California's rural roads. However, new evidence and research have finally solved the riddle after 70 years. They discovered something far more complicated and frightening than anyone had anticipated. First of all, James Dean's passing has long been the subject of much rumors and romanticism. According to numerous press reports, the collision was a horrific mishap that claimed the life of a young celebrity who was at the height of his abilities. However, recent data casts doubt on this straightforward tale by demonstrating evidence of negligence, recklessness, and possibly even malice. The new data demonstrates that the crash was caused by more than one error or bad luck. Rather, it was a series of poor decisions and perilous circumstances that led to catastrophe. The condition of Dean's automobile was among the most startling discoveries. Little Bastard, another name for the Porsche 550 Spyder, was a quick racing vehicle that wasn't intended for street use. According to experts, Dean's car had technical issues like faulty steering and brakes that made it difficult to handle at the speeds he was driving. Despite advice from his technician and other racers, Dean insisted on operating the vehicle himself. He was unaware of the machine's strength or the dangers of the roads he chose. His death was caused by his reckless faith, but it also reveals something about Dean. He was a man who frequently took chances without considering the consequences. The other vehicle involved in the collision, which had technical issues, was being driven by Donald Turnipseed, a young college student. The vehicle was a typical Ford Tudor sedan. Turnipseed attempted to flee the collision, according to investigations, although the crash was more likely to occur because to low visibility and hazy road markings. For many years, some believed Turnipseed was responsible for the crash. However, more recent research shows that Turnipseed was also a victim of bad luck and that responsibility is shared. Because of this, the story becomes more complex and appears to be a tragedy brought on by numerous errors made by both people and objects in the world rather than a simple accident that was caused by a single individual. The fact that alleged cover-ups were discovered immediately following the incident is even more concerning. The local administration and some of the individuals involved may have concealed or altered information to preserve their reputations or avoid legal issues, according to records and witness accounts. Because of this information concealment, the puzzle took longer to solve, which fueled the development of tales and conspiracies. In order to preserve the public's peace and preserve the reputations of celebrities, these cover-ups reveal a darker side of Hollywood and the police at the time, demonstrating their willingness to conceal information that did not fit. James Dean's mental illness prior to the crash adds another level of complexity. Interviews with Dean's friends, family, and co-workers revealed that he was struggling with personal issues like substance misuse and serious mental instability in addition to the pressures of his growing celebrity. His reckless driving might have indicated a more serious instability, revealing a man who was testing boundaries both on and off screen. This gives the impression that Dean is a real person coping with the pressures of suddenly becoming renowned rather than the legendary rebel without a cause. The impact of this revelation on culture has been enormous. James Dean became well known as a tragic figure of youth and rebellion because of his death, which was a mystery for many years. People are faced with a more complicated and unsettling reality as more information becomes available. Rather than being a romanticized accident, Dean's death serves as a reminder of the human cost of Hollywood glitter, the perils of arrogance, and what happens when you ignore warnings. After 70 years of mystery, the complete account of James Dean's death finally emerges. The new evidence shows that the truth is even worse than previously believed. A disaster brought on by malfunctioning machinery, poor decisions, human error, and deliberate truth-hiding. While certain myths may be dispelled by this information, it also reveals more about the complex guy who created the mythology and the perils of youth and celebrity. Although James Dean's reputation still has a lot of power, it now serves as a more potent warning about the terrible imperfections that lay beneath the Hollywood veneer.